Greetings, fellow traders. Bubblehead here, and it's time for the lunchtime market update for Monday, January 13th, 2020. Hope everybody's having a great trading day today. This is brought to you by Positive Trends Research, and before we get started, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. All right, awesome. Let's take a look and see where we're at with the market here. So SPX putting in fresh all-time highs and putting a nice green bullish candle today, 15.38 point range as it continued to still hold the upward trend line. Let's take a look at the 15-minute chart and see how it behaved today. It behaved quite well. 15-minute orb right here, chop at the 15-minute orb high, and then finally broke out here for a nice move on SPX. Let's take a look at Apple. Okay, Apple up 2 points today, but mostly within the 15 orb range here. So it had I believe it had another upgrade or at least a re-verification from JP Morgan, right? Just still stating that it looks good. Inside 15 down, held the 15 orb low today, and it's kind of in the middle of the range. Touched 15 orb high and couldn't quite get above it today. So it's up there again. Like I said, fresh all-time highs, so still doing what it does best, right? So that's for Apple right there. But speaking of all-time highs, let's take a look at Tesla. Goodness gracious, guys! We talked about a trend box yesterday, right? So we had an inside day, very compressed, low into the range. So basically, right, we're looking at essentially 2 red days in a row, right? So the bears get really, really excited about that, right? But you got to look at your levels, right? So you have some support right here, even if we broke down below the trend box. So a pretty amazing stuff right there. And of course, it gets another upgrade this morning, blows through the prior all-time highs and through the top of the trend box, shifting our trend line up. So we activate this, shift that over here, right, and we remove our trend box. So pretty amazing stuff there. Big move on Tesla today. Let's take a look at the price action on it. So pretty straightforward, right? Gap up, got over all the pre-market levels, right? Here's the pre-market high. It had a nice pop in this one. We looked at it this morning on our live stream. We said could give a nice pop to the open. I know some folks did really, really well on that with a nice pop to the prior all-time highs. Chopped around there for a little bit, okay? Inside 15 pulled back pretty decently, right, and then got to the 15 arm high and gave you a nice compressed range right here, right? So a little bit of a pennant, tight range right here inside 15 here, and then finally popped out of that right there. So we have intraday setups that help us get in stuff like that. So some nice move on that, and all the way up to 519 so far today. Amazing stuff. Tesla just squeezed out a lot of bears today, so very, very impressive on that. Let's take a look at Beyond. Another one that's been on everybody's bullish radar, right? So very, very tight range right here. We're going to be talking about this in the live streams this week. We've been going over law of charts, right? So this is one of the ones we're going to talk about this week. Talk about being range bound and breaking out of those ranges, right? And the type of bullish activity it can follow. Huge volume came out of this range breakout, right? We had a little bit of a rough day right here because Beyond's a little crazy, right? And then it had a nice close right here, getting into the open gap. And the next day, gapped up, filled the gap, and then it just pushed really, really strong here and filled another gap, a closing gap today. And depending on how we close today, might close bullishly here. So definitely looking like an accumulation period and a markup area right here. So good stuff on Beyond. Last but not least, let's take a look at Netflix. Okay, so Netflix is one we talked about yesterday on Twitter. Okay, so pretty interesting stuff, right? Yesterday we talked about the 1, 2, 3. So here's your 1. Here's your 2, right? And right now it's working on a 3, so we have to see where this thing closes today. But to me, this looks like a higher high or a higher low, right? So you have, you're going up, higher high, higher low area, higher high, higher low area, right? And seem to have held that as support and give a nice push today. If you go to the 15-minute chart on Netflix, right? We had got through all the pre-market levels right here, formed your 15 orb, which is your green lines right here, inside 15. Tried to give a little breakout right here, and then got really, really tight, right? Gave us a nice symmetrical triangle, and then that gave a breakout here. We had actually have that pullback here to the symmetrical triangle. You have a nice opportunity to get long and to get a breakout of that 15 orb high. So really impressive stuff on that one. And that's all for those reviews. We have a couple chart requests out there. BBBY. Bed Bath & Beyond had some good news today. Inside day up, right? And got some call activity, some call flow, and right into the 50-day moving average. So just watch that key level right here, but had this big gap to deal with in a little bit after its earnings debacle, right? CGC. Here's another really, really interesting stuff, right, guys? A lot of folks, pounding their chest on CGC, but the reality is, right, this needs to at least close over these recent pivot levels, right? So it's getting some nice moves for sure. So, for anybody who's capitalizing intraday, but it's tricky, right? You have your pre-market parks, it was pretty high right here, finally gave a nice close right here, and this got you to the next level up. So, pretty interesting stuff there on CGC. Let's see, let's take a look at GDX. Okay, so GDX, pretty interesting stuff, right? We talked about this is having some potential, right? A little bit of an upper shadow, so it got risky there, right? So volume was also down on Friday, right? So not surprised to see a little bit of a gap down, test these lower levels, right? These ones have tendency to gap around, right? So now we've got this gap fill that it could be working on here, closing gap right there, and we also have the cloud it could be dealing with. So watch that as a potential support level. Lulu, nice move on Lulu today. Gap and go, right? Closed over all these key levels right here. It wasn't as easy. We looked at it at the open. It was pretty choppy after it got to the pre-market box high, so it wasn't as easy as as it makes itself out to be sometimes when you look at those charts. We had a big 15 orb right here. It did hold the pre-market a major pre-market low area right here, and it did bounce off of that. So that was kind of one of the key indicators on Lulu. And it continues to just look strong and just generally be strong overall. Nice volume today overall. I mean, we're halfway through the day and it's already got increased volume over the last couple of days. So good stuff on that. And finally, Ulta. This is a great one. A few of our members have had this one, and we've been pointing it out on the live streams. Again, we have a nice, accumulation period right here after earnings, after decent earnings. So it's been accumulating, right? And then we start to see these breakout moves. Right? We're going to talk about more of these, this week on the live stream. So a nice close over here. This was a real nice close here to get to this level, and then it had essentially a gap and go today on Ulta. If you go to the 15-minute chart, right, big first 15-minute candle. That was where all the energy came from as it got over all those levels, and it's kind of drifted up now into the end of the day. So we'll see how the rest of the day closes, of course. But lots of great stuff here. I hope everybody has a very safe rest of your trading day, and remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And we'll talk to you soon.